Hi, I'm Ty. On our trip for the Cherokee Nation, I had so many amazing experiences and I learned so much from new sports to weaving straw baskets and storytelling. But I also learned a lot about Cherokee history that I had never heard before. I'm pretty lucky in my junior year, I had a history teacher that made sure to talk about the parts that Native Americans play throughout the history of the U.S. But I was shocked at just how much I still wasn't taught. For example, during what's now called the Trail of Tears, Cherokees were rounded up into stockades during the winter and then marched from Alabama to Oklahoma in the dead of winter, and more than a quarter of their population died. I had been taught briefly about the Trail of Tears, but I had definitely never been told about just how dark it was. Now, I know some people haven't even heard about the Trail of Tears at all. Um, I also learned that a lot of citizens in the U.S., including many Congress and Senate members, were actually opposed to the removal and murder of natives, but mainly Andrew Jackson signed executive orders to do so anyways. That to me was actually the most surprising because not only was that between Native Americans and the U.S. government, but also the people. Um, and you would think that such a huge genocide that wasn't even supported by the American people would at least appear once in textbooks, but it's still not part of what we're taught. Um, it's incredible just how much history we learned that's still important today that isn't taught in schools. I feel like I had a pretty good education surrounding these topics, and there's still so much I don't know. So I can't imagine how little is taught when you don't have such a dedicated teacher. Plus, that was only the story of the Cherokee. There are hundreds more stories that I still don't know. Um, and a lot of times we talk about the natives in the past tense as if they don't really exist anymore. But as we learned, they actually still play a huge role in the U.S. The Cherokee Nation has both a huge construction industry and also multiple defense contracts with the U.S. government for aerospace, which that was super surprising to me. I could never guess that. Um, and we also learned about their rich culture and traditions that still are a big part of Native life. It was pretty cool to see just how much culture has survived through the years, despite everything we've put them through. But yeah, this trip just showed me how much isn't taught about Native life and history, and I had a blast playing stickball and listening to storytellers. I hope that more people are able to learn about this whole other amazing part of our country.
Very good, gents. Wait, I want to be the first one up the stream. I'm not going to get it, but I get a lot of...
Hello, my name is Muriel Braun, and I'm an incoming college freshman. I'll be talking about my experience on the high school Oklahoma cultural immersion trip to the Cherokee Nation. One thing that really moved me about this experience was the importance of stories and history. They're not only a vessel of entertainment and preservation, but reveal the complex and human nature of those in the past and their connection to those in the present. I loved listening to the stories around the pride and vanity of the buzzard and how it resulted in its downfall, as well as the story about jiu-jitsu and how he gained his long ears and long back feet. These stories have morals that we also see reflected in common European folktales, showing that these valuable lessons span across humanity, even when the specifics of the stories change. The tradition of oral storytelling revealed an art that was very different than that of written stories. Each story felt unique, and the way that they were spoken drew the listener in. I've always believed that stories can unite people, and listening to the stories connected me with the storyteller and those in the room with a shared experience of being drawn to the story as if it was happening right there and then. When it came to listening to the historical stories, this was also impactful for me. Many of these stories weren't taught in classrooms. This is coming from someone who focused a lot on taking U.S. history classes, both on the college level through Front Range and the high school level, as well as taking AP level U.S. history. I still had no idea about many of the stories I learned. I didn't know about the resistance that was put up against the Trail of Tears and the legal case that Andrew Jackson had to fight so that he could continue the genocide of Native peoples. Learning this history and hearing it from the people who have ancestral links to it and felt the lasting impact was incredibly important. Sadly, in our country, to learn about marginalized groups, we so often have to go out and do our own research because they won't be taught in schools. Having this experience and learning and hearing about these stories, both historical and folk tales, are so vastly important with connecting with others and understanding them.
Black Fox, our trip leader, talked about the importance of family history, and it really changed the way that I think. A Eurocentric vision of history is often about like documents on a timeline, but I remember Vance saying that to him, time is more like a helix. Lots of the things are the same, lots of the struggles we face, lots of the encounters we have, but even if the scenery's a little bit different. Centuries ago, we were still struggling with learning how to care for each other, how to handle disagreement, how to handle conflict, how to help each other out. And knowing today when I run into the same struggles, knowing that my ancestors before me also faced these challenges makes me feel a little less alone.
How do I not get that?
Get it, go away. Wait.
Just get it out of there. No, throw it. Pass it away.
Wait, where'd it go? Go, Carly, go! Get him, Carly!